2004 was the last time that Nevada voted for a Republican at the presidential level. In that election, incumbent President George W. Bush carried the state by just over 2.5%. Put simply, Bush won Nevada because he received landslide margins in the rural areas and kept it reasonably close in the state's large urban county, Clark County. Clark County is home to the city of Las Vegas and its surrounding suburbs and makes up nearly 3/4 of the state's population. So, needless to say, Clark is a very important part of winning elections in Nevada. Anyways, Bush only lost Clark by about 5%, which is pretty impressive considering it's one of the more urban counties, and Republicans tend to perform poorly in urban counties. His 5% loss in Clark made it easy for him to make up the remaining difference in the rest of the state, particularly in the rural areas. Unfortunately for Bush and his Republican Party, their success in Nevada seemed to end there. Just 4 years later, John McCain lost the state by a decisive 12.5-point margin, making it nearly a 15-point swing towards Democrats. McCain's disastrous performance in Nevada resulted in him losing the two smaller northern counties of Washoe and Carson City, but really, the reason he lost was because of his woes in Clark. As mentioned earlier, Bush only lost Clark by 5 in 2004. However, McCain received a 19-point defeat in the massive county, which was what truly crushed him statewide. 4 years later, Mitt Romney faced a similar problem. While he did nearly 6% better than McCain statewide, he still struggled to close the gap in Clark, which he lost by 15%. At that point, it seemed as though Nevada was on its way to becoming a solidly Democratic state. Republicans would be unable to compete if they were consistently losing Clark by double digits. With the population of Las Vegas growing, there seemed to be little hope for the GOP's future in Nevada. Really, it wasn't until 2016 that the cracks in the Democratic Party's armor began to show. 2016 was a pivotal year in Nevada because it returned to its status of being a close state, just like 2004. Unlike Obama's pair of pretty impressive victories in 2008 and 2012, Hillary Clinton's victory in Nevada was narrow, and she received less than 48% of the vote statewide. But most concerning of all for the Democrats, she fell considerably in Clark, which she carried by under 11%. 11% on its own was a decent margin for Democrats. It wasn't good, but it wasn't horrible, and it still delivered a victory for them in the state. But it marked the third election in a row where the Democratic margin of victory in Clark County decreased by 4%. If this swing continued, it would mean trouble for Democrats in Nevada come 2020. However, the Democrats got lucky. Around Election Day 2020, Donald Trump had just a 41% approval rating in Nevada and collapsed in the Las Vegas suburbs specifically, resulting in a smaller swing towards the GOP in Clark County. That said, the margin of victory for Democrats still decreased to just 9%, making it a 10% decrease from its peak in 2008. And overall, while the shift between 2016 and 2020 was smaller than previous ones, Democrats were running out of cushion in the county rather quickly. This was illustrated in the 2022 midterms, where they lost control of the governor's mansion in the state. Republican nominee Joe Lombardo lost Clark by just 6 points, further cutting into the deficit and reducing the Democratic margin of victory in the county to essentially just the same amount it had been in 2004. Lombardo's victory was impressive, but admittedly, 2022 wasn't a perfect year for the Nevada GOP, as they lost the Senate race. However, Republican nominee Adam Laxalt only lost Clark by around 7, and he likely would have won statewide had he not severely underperformed in the Reno area up north. That Senate race also deserves additional footnotes regarding Laxalt's poor candidate quality and the fact that he was massively outspent on television and radio, but regardless, the fact that he only lost Clark by 7 was a clear indicator of where the county is headed. The circumstances under which the 2024 election will occur are still in question. While it seems quite likely Joe Biden will be the Democratic nominee, we're still not sure who the Republicans will put up against him. Donald Trump seems to be the favorite for now, but it's fairly easy to see a path for Ron DeSantis to win the nomination. There's even a chance we see other Republican candidates spike in support and maybe even defeat Trump. But no matter which Republican ends up campaigning in Nevada as the party's official nominee, the trends in the state are clear. Between 2008 and 2020, Clark County swung 10% to the right. Between 2012 and 2022, Clark swung an average of 8.5 points to the right. Clark has swung 2 to 3 points towards Republican nearly every single election, with few exceptions, in the state since 2016. And even if that swing is reduced to just 1% in 2024, one could legitimately make the case that the Republicans will be favored to win Nevada. My personal prediction is that Biden will win Clark by just over 6%, putting him in a poor position statewide. Of course, if Biden were to win Clark by 6, he'd still have a chance to win statewide. He'd just need to do a lot better everywhere else to make up for it. Either way, it seems as though the writing is on the wall. Democrats have been falling in a county that holds nearly 75% of the state's population, and that's just a recipe for disaster come the next election. If these trends continue, Nevada will likely flip Republican come 2024 and recapture a key part of the Democratic coalition.